Greetings and shalom. This is Adrian Scott, and welcome to Truth and Testimony, the broadcast. It is time for another Bible break. This one is going to be relatively short, but I think there's a fairly couple of strong points to this that I want to bring up. And in this particular case, I'm going to read from my old CJB, my Complete Jewish Bible, but follow along with any version that you would like. And what we'll be reading is in the book of Jonah, or Jonah, chapter 2. Now, I'm just going to read it, and then I will come back and talk about it a little bit. And it's a fairly short chapter, so really this should not take too long at all. So why don't we just get into it? Jonah, chapter 2. Adonai prepared a huge fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. From the belly of the fish, Jonah prayed to Adonai his God. He said, "Out of my distress I called to Adonai, and he answered me. From the belly of Sheol, which is the grave, I cried, and you heard my voice. For you threw me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, and the flood enveloped me. All your surging waves passed over me. I thought, I have been banished from your sight, but I will again look at your holy temple. The water surrounded me, threatened my life. The deep closed over me, seaweed twined around my head. I was going down to the bottoms of the mountains, to a land whose bars would close me in forever. But you brought me up alive from the pit, Adonai, my God. As my life was ebbing away, I remembered Adonai, and my prayer came into you, into your holy temple. Those who worship vain idols give up their source of mercy. But I, speaking my thanks aloud, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will pay. Salvation comes from Adonai." Then Adonai spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah out onto dry land. So, Jonah, I always thought, was such an intriguing tale, and I'll get into round one of this. So the first part is, he had gone, which you have to remember here is a little bit of context leading up to all of this. So he had gone to these people in Nineveh and had told them that because of their wicked ways, destruction was coming upon them, right? Get ready, you're in for a good time or not, right? But he told them that their end was basically coming because of their wickedness, right? Destruction will surely be upon you, something to that effect. But then something amazing happened. The people there repented. And God then sent for Jonah to go back to them and say, because of what you have done, you've been spared, right? Now, maybe I'm putting a little bit of my own interpretation into this, so keep that in mind. I'm not saying this as if it's gospel truth, as it were, but picture this for an idea. How's this for a thought? He had gone to these people and told them, destruction is coming upon you. And now he's being told to go back and tell them, destruction is not coming upon you. Which maybe in his mind, he thought made him look like he wasn't a prophet because what he prophesied didn't come to pass. Or that it made him weak or something to that effect. And therefore, he didn't want to go. Because as we know the story, he got on a ship and he was heading in the opposite direction. And that's where he ended up getting swallowed by the big fish, the whale, or whatever it was. I mean, it says big fish there. Speaking of which, as a side note really quickly, if you haven't heard it and you get a chance, you should check out the song by the Newsboys called Belly of the Whale. It's really good. You'll like it. As the music guy, along with Ray, we always appreciate the musical angle on stuff. So yeah, Newsboys, Belly of the Whale. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. But anyways, back to the thing. So he's swallowed in the belly of this great fish for 3 days and 3 nights, and then he gets vomited up on the beach. Where? Nineveh. to go tell the people that no, destruction is not coming upon you. He fought it, he resisted, but ultimately he came in and he said in the one line there, what I have vowed, I will do. So I said I would speak for you. I said I agreed to be a prophet. Put my comfort aside, put my opinion of myself aside. I will go and do what you want me to do. And I think that could be a message to a lot of people right there. Put your own personal prejudices aside. Put your own weaknesses aside. I can think of Moses as an example of this, how he kept going on and on to God about how he had a weak tongue, like he wasn't a good speaker. And God said, I will put the words in your mouth. Go and talk to the people. So despite what those things are, try to put them aside and go do what God has called you to do. That's what I'm attempting to do, despite the fact that, as I keep saying, I'm not the biggest fan of being in front of a camera like this, but I'm doing this because I feel the time is short, and this is something of the utmost importance, that it has to be shared, right? I don't care as much if I'm right or wrong. I mean, clearly I'm making these videos because I think I'm right, but that's not what's important to me. What's important to me is if I can say anything that will trigger someone to get into their word, to repair that relationship with the Father, to go back, or if you're already there, if you're already on that road, to just strengthen that relationship, because trying times are coming and you're going to need that strength. And this is something that Ray talked about. Doing it alone or trying to do it alone doesn't work. The lone wolf thing doesn't work. I can tell you that. Community and fellowship are essential. They are absolutely important. The disciples with Yeshua, they would go, they would preach, they would do all these things, but what would they do at the end of each of that? They'd come together as a group and they would encourage each other and build each other up with what they had done and everything they'd accomplished and what they'd seen. And they could only do that in that fellowship and in that community. And that's a big part of what Yeshua was teaching. And so it truly is just a huge, important thing. So back to Jonah, put your personal discomforts or whatever aside and be about the business of the kingdom. I'll leave it at that. So now we go on to the second part of this, and it touches on this notion that, and I'm going to let you pick up your Bibles and read this for yourself. There's a couple of instances in the different Gospels where you get this, and just challenge you to look into it a little bit more. But on surface, it's something that is enormously significant. It's very significant. Well, okay, these are words that came from Yeshua's mouth, so of course they're significant. It's all significant. This is just one example, I guess. Maybe I'll put it that way. When he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'll see if I can throw the actual passage on screen here, but he said something to the effect of, this wicked and adulterous generation will receive but one sign, right? One sign. You're going to receive only one sign of the authenticity of Yeshua as the Messiah, as the prophet that Moses said would come. And to this prophet, you must shema, you must hear and obey, right? He said there would only be one sign. And what was that sign? The sign of the prophet Jonah, as he was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the whale. So Yeshua would be 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the earth, in the grave, buried, and then would rise again, right? And that's the only sign. That's it. So you better know that sign. You better recognize that sign and know that that's legit, because that's the only one you're getting, and it proves his authenticity. So that's the second point. And so you can look up those scriptures where it talks about that this generation will receive only one sign. And that was it. That was the sign. And I guess I'll close on that because really I've talked about all the things I wanted to mention. The big one was, I've said it many times before, and I will say it again, and I will continue to say it. If you're comfortable, in my opinion, you're doing it wrong, right? This isn't about Sunday meet and go to church, sit in a pew, have a barbecue, right? That can be a part of the process, but it shouldn't stop with that, right? Jesus himself said, I didn't come to bring peace, but with a sword, right? That it would be mother against daughter, father against son, sister against brother, right? That is one person would, and I'm sure a lot of you can attest to this, as being a believer and a follower of Jesus and reading the Bible, that you most likely have some friends or family, even immediate family, that don't agree, and they may just disregard you. I suppose in a best case scenario, they'll just, believe you're that black sheep, right? That crazy uncle that doesn't know what they're talking about. But at worst, it can come to verbal blows, right? When you're challenging people's foundational beliefs and their worldviews. And it gets back to this worldview thing, right? Man's worldview or God's worldview. There's only two. Again, in my opinion, there's only the two. And if you're in this worldview, you're going to be at odds with this worldview. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. Yeah. So if you're comfortable, you're doing it wrong. And you need to challenge yourself to put that comfort aside, to be prepared to be a little uncomfortable. I don't think any of the prophets, not to the best of my reading, had a really good time. They did some amazing things. They called down fire. They parted water. They did miraculous things. God did miraculous things through them. But overall, they were persecuted. They were shunned. They were often physically beaten, tortured, imprisoned. I mean, look at Paul. Look at Peter. Look at all of these guys. How did John end up on the Isle of Patmos, right? They killed all the other disciples. They were trying to kill him, but he wouldn't die because his ministry wasn't finished yet. So it's like, well, okay, we can't boil him alive in oil. We can't do this. We can't kill him. We're going to put him on an island where he can't talk to anyone. So that's oversimplifying it, but I think that's why John ended up on the Isle of Patmos, because they couldn't kill him. He was being persecuted. They were trying to. They wanted to shut him up, but they couldn't. So they exiled him. They stuck him out there. And we still got, because of that, we got the book of Revelation. So way to go, guys. You helped the cause. You weren't trying to help the cause, but you helped the cause, because we got the book of Revelation to let us know what's to come because of what you did. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. There's my sarcastic sense of humor. I'll wrap it up there. So yeah, Jonah, the prophet Jonah, the one and only sign. And he put his own comfort aside to do what he was tasked to do. He tried to fight it at first, but he finally did it, right? And on the flip side, Yeshua said that would be the only sign that this wicked generation would get. That would be it. So if you hung out with me to this point in the video, I do ask, if you can and you enjoyed it, give the video a thumbs up, share it with others. That may be one of the most important parts of this. We want this word to get out. We want people to hear this. We want people to find that relationship or strengthen that relationship. So that's a big part of it. Share it. And if you have not done so, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the updates that we do. We are going to be doing more stuff. There's a lot of things going on. So I think everyone needs a little downtime from time to time, and we're going to ramp it up. There's going to be more coming and some interesting things on the way as well. So subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of that. I do wish you all blessings in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus our Savior. And I just say shalom. Have a great week, and bye for now.